It was late June 1974 in a small town just outside Seattle, Washington. The party for the graduating high school senior class was in full swing. Festivities had kicked off at 3 in the afternoon and were set to last until midnight. Tables overflowing with food were spread across the expansive lawn that stretched out in front of the old Hickok Manor. The mansion itself had a storied past, constructed in 1909 by a retired steamship captain named William B. Hickok. It was a grand 9-room, 15,000-square-foot residence. Captain Hickok, who never married, opened his home to retired and displaced seamen. When he passed away, he deeded the mansion to the town. It was immediately put on the market and maintained in all its majesty for 20 years. But surprisingly, there were no takers. By 1972, the city fathers realized the upkeep was too costly, and the mansion was abandoned, its grounds left to overgrow. Then, in 1973, the local school district came to the city with a clever plan. Students would restore the grounds and upgrade the kitchen in exchange for using the manor for their yearly graduation parties. And so, here they were in 1974. Bands were set up on the wraparound porch. Food and non-alcoholic drinks, enough to last until midnight, were stored in the expansive cellar, connected to the kitchen by a narrow servants' hall. Among the graduates were Walter Schmidtke, the student body president, and Sally Holcomb, the valedictorian. The two had been a steady couple since their freshman year. Tonight, they had their own private plans. Hoping to find a quiet moment for themselves somewhere inside the vast Hickok Manor, they figured once the party was in full swing, they could slip away unnoticed. At 9 o'clock, with blazing lights illuminating the food tables, Sally stepped into the shadows and entered the dimly lit kitchen. The owner of the catering service was busy at the sink washing dishes. Sally found the small door to the servants' hallway. Walter was waiting for her. He had discovered a door at the back of the cellar, which he'd been told led to a small room once used by the servants. They embraced briefly, then ran down the hall and across the cellar floor until they reached the door. But it wouldn't budge. Walter pounded on it, and a voice boomed from the other side. "Who's there?" Startled, they turned and fled back the way they came, but they couldn't find the entrance to the servants' hall. Instead, they found a coal chute and scrambled out. They emerged on the side of the mansion into a scene that made no sense. Horse-drawn wagons were pulling up to the front porch. The lawn was lit by torches. Men and women in unfamiliar clothing walked around, holding glasses filled with an amber-colored liquid. Shocked, Walter and Sally made their way back to the kitchen window and peered in. Inside, they saw Asian workers cleaning the platters and bowls, not the caterer from moments before. Confused, Walter dragged Sally back toward the servants' hall, wanting to retrace their steps, but Sally refused. Walter, determined, took off at a run down the hall, yelling that he'd come back for her. He never did. At midnight, parents, teachers, and students began searching for the missing couple. They found Sally crouched and terrified just inside the narrow hall that led to the cellar. Walter was gone. After a short stay in the hospital, Sally moved back home. 6 months later, she was visited by an old man. He identified himself as Walter. He was 75 years old and showed her his driver's license and a birth certificate to prove it. Sally visited this older Walter at his nursing home until he passed away. Years later, Sally married a real estate agent. In a twist of fate, her husband purchased the old Hickok mansion. One day, she convinced him to take her down that narrow servants' hall. Together, they walked across the cellar to the small door at the back. He pried it open. There in the corner was a small skeleton, still wearing a high school letterman's jacket from the class of '74. This is a true story of a time slip. The names have been changed, as has the name of the mansion. At the request of the family whose mother never fully recovered from her graduation nightmare. Make sure to join us again for another story of the strange and unexplained events that took place in a world you thought you knew. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries.